Aviva see Turkey as a really important market for a number of reasons. First of all, Turkey is still growing as an economy, which is fantastic news. If we look around the rest of the markets, there's not that many where we're seeing the sort of growth that we're achieving as an economy as in Turkey. I think secondly, the penetration rate for insurance is quite low in Turkey, something like 1.3% of GDP. Now that's something like half to a third of other developed nations, so we see some significant growth opportunities in Turkey. I think thirdly, we put great faith in the composite model to have life insurance businesses and general insurance businesses in the same market. In Turkey we have that, both life and general insurance, so for all sorts of reasons we see Turkey as being a really important market for the future. A number of things, a number of observations. I think first of all, obviously it's a very energetic, very exciting market, as I said before. We see lots and lots of opportunities in almost everything we touch in Turkey, which is great news as well. I think there's other areas where we see quite significant differences to other markets. So for example, pricing discipline in Turkey we see being quite different to some other territories, where it seems to be that generally speaking lots of insurers are chasing volume rather than profitable volume, and that's got knock-on consequences throughout. I think the other thing I'd say is that the young population in Turkey, 65%, 60% are below 30 years old. So the whole nature of the Turkish market is quite different to many other markets we see, which again throws up new challenges and new opportunities. And we see competition, we see the big players in most of our major markets, but how they compete and how we compete is very much a local decision and around what it is that the local market requires. The idea of targets for, say, China, targets for Turkey, it's much more around what we're trying to achieve in that specific market. Now, Aviva Sigorta is in the high growth markets unit within Aviva, and therefore our task is clearly to look to grow our business to make sure we have a greater scale in Turkey. In some other territories where the market is much more developed, and the presence is more developed, they won't have the same sorts of growth targets that we'd expect to be delivering here in Turkey. So it does vary enormously, as does the competition. We see in some markets the competition can be very strong, in other markets we're the number one, number two competitor, so it does very much vary market by market. I think it's impossible for Turkey to avoid some effects of the international crisis. I think it's something like 40% of the trade with Turkey is with the European countries, EU countries, and therefore if the EU's got some issues, and clearly it does, Turkey must have some impact on itself. However, saying that, Turkey is still growing very well. 3.2% growth this year has been forecast. Lots and lots of other countries, and probably every country in Europe would love to have that kind of growth. So that's really good news. Also, I think we're going to see continued investment into Turkey. So particularly as the European countries overcome their economic difficulties, that leaves the door wide open for investors to continue investing in Turkey, and therefore we'll see the insurance market continue to grow. And as I said before, because the insurance penetration rate is still very low compared to other developed countries, we see Turkey in its own right continuing to develop its insurance industry and grow very healthily. To be a general insurer of any scale inside Turkey, you have to be strong in motor. Roughly half the overall volume in Turkey is motor business. Therefore, it's really important that an insurer like Aviva Sigorta is strong in motor, and we're working really hard to strengthen that. And I will see that continue growing as more and more people have a greater wealth, therefore acquire more assets, therefore will be looking to insure those assets. I think household similarly. I think we'll see more on the household insurance going forward. The penetration rates are still relatively small, I think as people understand the real benefits of household insurance, whether it's flooding, whether it's fire damage, whether it's earthquake, I think that all will start to increase the overall penetration of household insurance. And on the commercial side, clearly construction still has lots of investment in Turkey, which is fantastic. We'll see more investment in construction, engineering, and liability with the new commercial code. So we see lots of developments taking place in the market, whether it's investments, lots of developments, whether it's regulatory developments, all edging towards greater penetration of some of those core products. I think the sort of three targets we're looking at. So in the very short term, profitability is important to us. I said before that I don't think the market has quite the same pricing discipline that we've seen in some other markets, and therefore that's really important to us. I think secondly, being the sixth largest insurer in the world, it's important to Aviva PLC that we have the right scale for the general insurance business in Turkey, and therefore improving the scale of our business, so growing our business over the medium term is going to be really important to us. I think fundamentally our number one objective is to be the most recommended general insurer in Turkey. And that's most recommended from our customers, from our agencies, from our brokers, from all our stakeholders. The biggest channel of all is the agency channel. That's a critically important channel to us, and that will continue for forever, I suspect. So therefore, it's important we understand really well what the agencies want from us, and we can make sure the right products are delivered at the right time to our agencies. Brokers are also a very important part of our distribution channel, and again, we're looking to make sure that we work with brokers to look forward the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years as to what they need from a general insurer like Aviva Sigorta. And then bank assurance. So bank assurance, again, we have a range of bank assurance partners. Bank assurance is a very important channel both inside Turkey and other markets. Aviva have probably got the largest bank assurance capability throughout the world in terms of our large insurance companies. So again, we're looking to build that channel in Turkey. However, the overall message is good, healthy, profitable growth through a multi-channel focus to this. And one of the things we just kicked off very recently is because there's so much social media activity in Turkey, particularly the younger age groups, we're trying to understand better what their requirements are, what their needs are, and how they want to be served in the future. So we're launching a whole raft of activity on the social media, things like Facebook and Twitter and so on, to better understand that. And that again will give some great insights to how we look after our agencies, our brokers, and our bank assurance partners. Incredibly proud, and the Aviva Sigorta team were massively proud that the whole street to school program started in Turkey. That was great news. And looking from the UK, when I spent a number of years in the UK, looking back into what happened in Turkey, it was a fantastic, absolutely fantastic way that the momentum built throughout Aviva PLC. So that was great news. I think we've now been involved with something like almost 5,000 children in Turkey, which again is a great number. And only this week I was talking to our new partner as to how we can better serve street to school in the future and what the plans will look like into 2013. So we take our corporate responsibilities very seriously indeed. We're all committed to this particular cause. Having 3 children of my own who've been very blessed with a good, stable upbringing, I would love personally to see that extend even further in Turkey.